Of Bang show as everybody starts to stream in here. I know we got people coming in here from Facebook and YouTube, so just do me a favor and give me a nine. Go ahead and type nine in the chat box if you can hear and you can see me. So if I get those nines, you'll be able to hear and see me in there, and that's when I'll know to kick this bad boy off as we stream in here. Got a lot of good stuff to cover today. We're going to be talking about some iconography and symbolism and all sorts of things. If you just came in the chat, go ahead and give me a nine in the chat box to let me know that you can hear and see me, and we'll knock this out. All right, cool. Looks like we got our first Facebook user to give us a nine. Sorry, guys, I can't see your names on here unless you actually get into the link and register your name on here. So when people come in, it only shows up as Facebook user, YouTube, or LinkedIn, unless you put your name on there like Scott. Welcome aboard, Scott. How you doing? All right, now that you can hear and see me, I'm going to get into a quick story about my time back in Iraq as a Marine, all right? It's a little bit of a war story, but it's definitely germane to the awesome subjects we're going to talk about today. All right, so back in the day, about 2004, 2005 timeframe, we were operating in Iraq on the western border next to Syria. And basically, we got some intelligence that someone was operating in a nefarious kind of manner. They're helping terrorists and whatnot. It was kind of vague. That's oftentimes what military intelligence is. And they sent us to basically a compound to go do a search and seizure on there. We go knock on the door. We start searching the compound. We get in there and we're talking to everybody in there. And we have everybody segregated and we're searching for some type of evidence of this weird stuff we've been told that there's intel about. And we searched this entire area. We questioned the people that there was only one male there about my age. We questioned him. His story checks out. We're searching the whole house. There's no weapons. There's no bombs and guns, all the stuff we were looking for, right? We said, hey, these are suspected terrorists. Go find bad stuff. We didn't find any of that stuff in the house, all right? At this point, we've been there about an hour and we're about to leave. We're about to let everyone go and go, hey, we're literally apologizing to these people. Hey, sorry about disrupting that. We had information, so on and so forth. When one of the guys there, they all know I spoke Arabic, happens to see a cupboard. He sees a cupboard and he opens it up and he's digging through and he finds a small book and it's got Arabic writing in it. And he doesn't know what it is. And he goes, hey, Yousef, what is it? Is this anything? And I look at it and I'm reading it. And it's actually what it is just a kid's book. And it's like a kid's like calligraphy book. And it was a kid like practicing his whatever. And I'm like, nah, it's a kid's book, man. Don't worry about it. And he takes it and he throws it back in the little cabinet. When he throws it in there, I look at the door of the cabinet and it's really weird. On the door of this cabinet, it's just like a normal wood dresser cabinet, is writing stamped all over it. I'm going, what is that? I get down close and I look at it, and it's this person's name. It's in Arabic. It's this guy's name, think John Smith, but it's rubber stamped all over the inside of this cupboard on the floor. I was like, well, this is weird. This is all of a sudden my spidey senses are going off. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. This is not part of baseline. This is an anomaly. So I start bringing everybody else around trying to get their opinion. I'm like, what do you make of this stuff? And they're like, well, what is it? I'm like, it's just his name over and over again, rubber stamped over and over again. And they're like, huh, that's weird. We start doing digging in that cabinet. We start pulling more stuff out and I start reading more things. And then we find a document that's basically the Iraqi Border Patrol, Ministry of Interior. It's how you get across the borders between Syria and Iraq and Jordan, whatever. And we pull out a whole chunk of these official documents with Ministry of Interior seals on them and signatures. And what's stamped on the bottom, all these entry visas and passports? This guy's name over and over again. So what was he doing with that little cabinet? Okay. He was practicing. He had his little stamp. He was rubbing in the ink in it, and he was trying to get it just right. And maybe that's where he kept the stuff, and he just happened to, stamp that a couple times. So I like to tell that story, getting into our subject today of iconography and symbols around you, because we could have just walked right by that thing, and had we not paying attention, had someone not stuck that in my face and said, "Wait a minute, there's no threat here. There's no, nefarious plan in the writing. It's just a guy's name." But because of the simple fact of the placement of the name, the context of the name, and it's over and over and it's rubber stamped and it doesn't fit our baseline, all of a sudden that little indicator popped up on our Richter scale and going, whoa, wait a minute. We pulled on that little piece of thread and all of a sudden this kind of terrorist, smuggling plot fell apart. And that's who this guy was. He wasn't a terrorist bad guy. He wasn't running around with guns, but he was facilitating anybody who needed anything to come across that border. So that's a good win in our book. That's a very good win. And all it wasn't based off some kinetic thing, some Bin Laden raid takedown or fast roping. Bunch of names stamped in the side of a cupboard. But most people wouldn't even take the second to look. And even if you didn't understand Arabic, most people would be like, oh, I don't understand Arabic, so therefore I don't care. But if you just looked at the context, you didn't need to speak Arabic to see that that thing was weird. You've been like, what is this? It's upside down, it's sideways. And now all of a sudden we're pulling on the thread of all this information that's flying around your head at any given moment, all right? So that sets us up for our subject today's Left to Bang show. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is still Yousef Badu. This is the Left to Bang show where we talk about the sneakier side of security. There's all this information when it comes to behaviors and environmental indicators flying around your head at any given moment, and 99% of the population just does not pay attention to it. That's what I'm here to stop on this Left to Bang show, finding out what these indicators are, what they mean, and start pulling on that thread to unravel violence or disrupt bad things before they happen. This show is sponsored today by the Safe Observer Program. Our Safe Observer Program has all this information and knowledge kind of packed into about a 3.5-hour module of training. So if you want this information, you want the base behavioral domains along with these environmental ones, go ahead and put SAFE in the comment section. We'll jump on there and get you the information you need. All right. So without further ado, let's get into iconography today. We're going to talk about iconography and symbols in your neighborhood and how to extrapolate more information from all these indicators happening around you. So I'm just going to share something real quick with you. So this is a picture. There we go. Share that screen. Yep. Most people have probably never even seen this before. And if you have, maybe you live in California, you probably walk by this and never even noticed it. You see this in the South and the West part of America. And who this gentleman is, just like on his bus there, it says Jesus Malverde. You see this all over Southern California and Mexico. And again, most people would look at this bust and not think anything of it. Go ahead in the comments section. If anybody knows who Jesus Malverde is, go ahead and take a shot at it in the comments section, see what you think. But who Jesus Malverde is basically a Mexican folk hero. And he's actually the patron saint of smuggling and narco traffickers and a whole bunch of other things. They really believe in this stuff. And Jesus Malverde is all over the place. You see his symbology or symbolism in music, narcocorridos. You see in the cartel culture. And oftentimes, he's not only the patron saint of just smuggling, he could be the patron saint of people who are down and out, down on their luck, too. So it's a broad brush that's painted with this Mexican cultural figure, but people can't even confirm if this guy was real or not. Some people think he was real, some people don't, but everyone kind of agrees he's like the Mexican cartel narcocorridos version of Robin Hood. They pray to him. And so why is this an indicator? Why do I care about this? Because again, here in Southern California, you would be very surprised how many times people walk by this stuff and don't even realize what that means. Okay, this is heavily involved in cartel and trafficking and drugs and narcotics and whatnot. So definitely not a great indicator. So if you ever walk by someone's vehicle or desk or whatever, and they have a little bust of this guy with a mustache, and oftentimes it won't even have his name on it, that's an indicator. That's something you might want to question. All right, Border Patrol agents all the time, what they'll do is when they're coming across the border, if they're smuggling dope or whatever it is, they'll take either the bust or they'll take a card. Everybody see the Catholic prayer cards or the patron saints? That's what they do. Same thing. They got him on there, and they'll stick that in the visor as they make their way through the American border checkpoint. So a savvy Border Patrol agent might know to look, stick his head in there and drop that visor, and boom, little Jesus Malverde pops out. It's like, come here, guy. You get to go to the special line now. And so I like using Jesus Malverde because, again, here in Southern California, you see it a lot. If you're not from around here, you've never heard of this, you might walk by and see it and not even indicate on it. So these symbols, these icons we walk around with all day, every day, absolutely have meaning. They can definitely cue off on certain things in the area. Okay, maybe one of these symbols isn't going to get you to like jump up and save the day, like, oh my God, run for the hills. But if you see a couple of these little indicators, you can go, hey, wait a minute, things are happening here. Okay, so let me say this: what is iconography not? All right, iconography, I just showed you a picture of Jesus Malverde. When you think of iconography, think of something that has meaning to it. Something has typically emotional meaning to it, something passionate behind it, all right? If I show you a street sign, a stop sign, stop in the middle and a red on the outside, that's not iconography. That's not a symbol that means something else. That is a symbol that means, hey, chucklehead, stop right here. There's no gray area on that one, or a speed limit sign, or do not enter. Okay, that's not a form of iconography necessarily. That's pretty much instructions. But a picture, a symbol, something where you don't look at it and the background isn't immediate obvious. That's how I like to look at iconography, and especially if it has passion or emotion tied to it. I really want to know about that, because when we're passionate, we're emotion, feelings are involved, and those people have real buy-in to the symbols they're talking about. I'll give you a real example of a real quick example of emotional icons right now. Let's take a look right here. What about this icon? Pop it up real quick. Yep, yep. We've been seeing this probably quite a bit. Whoa, hold on a second. Bear with me here. Let's go to share this again. There it is. All right, let's see if this invokes any emotions on anybody watching today. All you people in here from YouTube and Facebook and everywhere else, does this invoke emotions today in this climate? Absolutely. Okay, you don't have to tell anybody in America what these symbols mean, and there's a lot of emotion attached to it. Okay, I don't care what your politics are. All I care about is keeping people safe from evil people and bad people. So, in the present climate, whatever your politics are right now, this side, that side, in the middle, whatever it is, who is going to take this symbol? If you fall on this side, if you fall on this side, who in this chat room is going to take that symbol and stick it on a bumper sticker on your card right now? Okay. If you got faith, if you believe in what you're talking about, I want you to take that bumper sticker and stick it on your car today in America. What do you think would happen to your car? Okay. I'm not seeing it either this way or that for either side. I'm saying someone's going to come by and probably put a brick through your window at the minimum. This invokes a lot of emotion. So there's a lot of attachment, even though there's not words or anything in there. All right. Let me take some comments real quick. Looks like you guys got comments. Hey, and if y'all didn't understand, if you're here with me live, everybody else gets to see a recording of this. If you're here with me live, by all means, ask those questions in the chat. Don't be scared. This is live. I'm here to answer them, and I want to answer. So let's look at some. Particular religious statues as well are signs for gangs, cartels. Great stuff. Absolutely. Yeah. It's not just Jesus Malverde. I'm not going to sit here and break down all the different types of criminal or cartel organizational ones, but you can go down a huge rabbit hole there with figuring out what they are. Another one too, this is a huge indicator. And again, this one you're probably not going to run into anywhere. It's not a Jesus Malverde one, but it's a bust of basically the Grim Reaper, and I've seen these things 3, 4, 5, 6 feet high. You'll have them, and you'll often see dollar bills around them. Okay. Again, in certain cultures, in certain parts of Mexico, in the Latin culture, that's not all bad. That's not all bad. Death is part of their culture. They have Dios de la Muerte. So that's part of the culture. But in certain situations, if you walk into somebody's home and they got a 4-foot bust of that thing, of the Grim Reaper, and they got dollars stuffed in it, you might want to find some new friends. Just throwing that out there. Okay. Eagle, Globe, and Acre. I don't know who said that, but let's go ahead. I'm going to click one forward. Who said it? I don't know who said it, but I'll throw it out there. The Eagle, Globe, and Anchor. Okay. This is a symbol, if you didn't realize it, for the United States Marine Corps. There's actually lore behind it. You can break it down, the eagle being the symbol of our country, America, the globe and the countries being that we're a global force. And the anchor and the rope is for the anchor is for our naval tradition. And I've heard before the rope is for our connection to the Army. So it's Navy brothers and sisters connection. And there's some variations there. I'm sure someone's going to flame me right now because they're like, no, that thing means that thing. I don't know. You got me, guys. But this is a very emotional symbol for us right now. This is a very emotional symbol. Marines, we like to plaster it all over the place, on our foreheads, on our bodies, tattoos, clothing, babies. We love throwing this stuff on babies, dogs, So this is a symbol that has a lot of emotion and a lot of impact to someone who's been there. So, if you disparage the Marine Corps to some random, they're probably not going to care. But you try this with someone who has, a lot of emotions and passion invested, you're going to find out wherever that passion comes from. I love Marines, man. Every time you hear it, every randomly you hear it in the gas station, like 90-year-old Marine, 75-year-old Marine, like beats the crap out of like robber. I love it. We're just kind of constantly pissed off, waiting for bad stuff to happen. Right. So those are some initial examples of what iconography can be. So take something, look at the iconography. What are they trying to tell me? What are they communicating? What is this individual? What is this group trying to communicate to me? And if I can figure out that message, I'm going to believe them. I'm going to listen to you. Okay. If you have a bumper sticker on your car that says you can get my gun when you pry it out of my cold dead hands, hey brother, I'm going to believe you. I'm like, okay, that's what you're putting out into the world. I'm going to believe everything you're telling me. I'm not saying that's bad, But more from a safety perspective, what does that put in my head? Okay. At minimum, there's probably a weapon involved in the situation. All right. So again, I'm not making bias, technically decisions based on culture. One, I'm looking at it from a safety perspective. Okay. Um, yeah, let's go. Let's go on. That's good. Let me get some more symbols on there. All right. What are some things that iconography can be? It can be tattoos. It can be graffiti. It can be drawings. It can be sayings. It can be writings. It can be images of people we've already seen. Again, the whole thing here is someone is showing you an image. It's a surface image, and it doesn't really have a specific exact meaning to you at that point. But if you just dig a little bit more and go, wait a minute, there's more to this, I can start figuring out what's going on here, what people are trying to communicate to me. All right. Bumper stickers, all that good stuff. Flag specifically. All right. If you take a picture of a flag, or I'm sorry, if you have the gumption to raise a flag and put up a flag in your front yard or put up a flag in your neighborhood, let me ask chat. Okay. What do you think? If someone puts a symbol or something and raises a flag, is that symbol important to that person? Does that symbol matter to that person? Okay. Look here in America, you see it all the time. Well, not all the time, thank God, but you'll see vets and homeowner associations where a vet will put up a Marine Corps sign, or they'll put up an American flag, and the HOA will go after him, and there'll be this big legal battle. And it's always the Marines. It's always the Marines causing trouble. Everyone else abides by the HOA, but they're like, hey, Marine, you're going to have to take that flag down. And you're like, oh, to my cold, dead hands. And they go to war with those HOAs. So, hey, that's the nature of the game for us. So invoking a lot of emotion. Let me show you this real quick. All right. Open that up. Yep. We're going to show you that. I want to show you. Why isn't it showing me? Come on. There you go. We've often used this imagery to talk about our military, especially now with what's happening in the airport and Taliban and whatnot, Islamic imagery. So I just wanted to talk about culture and context. All right. We'd show these to the troops and other people who didn't know about air culture, and we'd say, hey guys, colors have meaning. All right. So it's not only symbols, but colors too. Okay. Black being the color of mourning in Islam. Beauty protection. Actually, that's wrong. That beauty protection heaven, that's supposed to be blue. I don't know why that came out gray, but blue, that's can also be a symbol of cleansing, of water. Okay. Hey, Arabs, we're desert people, right? Water is kind of important. So the color blue is really cool to us. Purity, white being purity. Green is the traditional color of Islam. You see that in Saudi Arabian flag. You see in Pakistan's flag. And the red being what? The color of sacrifice, blood, whatever it is. All right. So again, these are the colors of Islam. All right. And this is how we prep people going into Islamic countries or Arab countries. Okay. So it's like news to everybody, right? I just blew your hair back. Well, guess what? Where is it? Hold on. Oh, geez, I don't have it in there. I guess I lost it. Sorry, guys. I had a picture in here of American version of this. Okay. In America, what does the color black mean? I could show you a funeral right here in America. Everyone's wearing black. At a wedding, what's the bride wearing? Okay, white, hopefully. Fingers crossed, knock on wood. What does that stand for? Purity. Sacrifice. Okay, look at our American flag. What do the stripes in our American flag stand for? Blood and sacrifice. So we like to talk about this stuff like we're all so different and this culture is completely different. But then you line a couple things up and you're like, well, actually, we're all kind of pretty similar. The languages are different and whatnot, but we can change these things around a little bit. All right. So let's see if we got some commentary. All right. Okay, Deborah, good one. Hot spots in Northern Ireland. I saw a sniper at work. Yeah, that's an indicator. That's definitely an indicator. I'm actually going to show you one from Hawaii, Deborah. That's an interesting one that I got worried about. Well, we'll see though. Marine soldier today. Yep. Support. It would be nice if you could see or even hear the video segment. Okay, it looks like we're having some IT issues. Everybody go ahead and give me a 9 in the comment section. Some of us apparently can't hear or see me, so just make sure everybody else is here and see me. Yeah, so there's another context from another one of our users here talking about flying the American flag upside down, right? So the American flag stands for freedom, our country, patriotism, and whatnot. But you take that same symbol, flip it upside down, and now that context changes, okay? And depending on who you're talking to, that context changes if you have an American flag flipped upside down. You turn on the news media right now, we have our own citizens, Americans, kids, our college kids running around with flags upside down, trying to show people that America's in distress. That's more of a political statement. In the actual military, if you ever see a flag flown upside down, that's an actual sign of distress. Like, oh my God, come help me. So yes, just the context of some of these symbols and whatnot. Yeah, tattoos. Yeah, we'll be getting into this stuff. You guys are already ahead of the power curve here, so let me just go forward. All right. Well, let's talk about graffiti. Let's talk about graffiti and the different types of it. Graffiti basically falls into two parts, all right? For our purposes and safety and watching out for our neighborhood, we're going to talk about two pieces. One being artistic graffiti, and the other being more gangland, more tagging graffiti. Or I'm sorry, tagging and artistic is one, and then the gangland is one thing. So I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you and explain to you graffiti and what they mean, because there's a million different variations. From street to street, culture to culture, gang to gang, there's going to be different variations of it. So there's no way I could sit here and explain it. But we do want to look for some overarching indicators when it comes to this graffiti. Everybody take a look at my picture right there. If you had to guess, is this gangland tagging or is this more artistic tagging? I would have to guess this is tagging. This is artistic. How much time did it take for this person? Let's look at that top one on the right. Really beautiful, just intricate. How long did that take them to put up? Was that a 5-minute tag? Do you think the public in that area was walking by as that person was putting it up? Yeah. Did anybody stop them? Did anybody take them out? Again, we don't probably want graffiti in a lot of our neighborhoods, but if that's part of the landscape in your neighborhood, it might be a high trafficked urban area. People are going to walk by and go, hey, nice painting. That's kind of cool. So either they don't care or they somewhat condone it in this neighborhood. Not that that's a bad thing, because it's more artistic. This one on here on the left is an artistic tag, and it looks like, they're telling someone, hey, rest in peace, So I might look at this, depending on the neighborhood and the area and my context, and go, all right, artistic tagging, not that big of a deal, not much of a threat going on. All right, as opposed to some of the images you're seeing right now, okay? Now, these tags, let's just look at a time component compared to the ones before. How long did these tags take to put up? Spray can, 5-10 seconds for some of these, 20 seconds, okay? Why is that? Why are they under a time crunch when they're doing these gang tags? Because if somebody of these other gangs catch you tagging in their territory, they're going to hang you from that wall. Okay. So they're not intricate. They don't have a lot of time. There's probably not a lot of people. Are these tags happening during the daytime or during the nighttime? Right. If I had to guess, probably during the nighttime. So if you had a blank wall and you wake up to walk the dog in the neighborhood and that thing was blank the day before, but today you roll out and it's got some type of thing on it real quick, odds are it probably happened overnight. These I want to pay attention to. These are not artistic in nature. These oftentimes don't make sense. They're numbers, Bloods, Crips, all these gang signs and whatnot. But again, you can use indicators. This one right here, specifically a 13. You ever see a 13, just run the other direction, because either it's MS-13 or a related gang from Los Angeles or whatever it is. But that's kind of their devil's horn. That's one of their symbols right there. And you see this in El Salvador. They'll throw that up there and they'll actually draw it. And they'll use these things, little markings like these, to actually mark their territory, right? If you've ever been down to California, there's a small town on the beach called Oceanside. When I joined the Marine Corps 20 years ago, Oceanside kind of used to be a crap hole. It was pretty seedy. Think of it. It was a military town. So, tattoos and liquor stores, every other one, and everything else that comes with that, Past 20 years ago, they have spent millions of dollars, pumped millions of dollars into Oceanside. I swear in another 10 years, that's going to be the new Malibu, right? But when I used to do some of my exercises down here, you'd see purple tags on the sidewalks and on the streets. And then at one block, you'd literally pass. On this side of the sign was a purple tag. On the other side was a green tag. And that's how we knew, hey, we just walked into someone else's territory. We weren't gang members. We weren't looking for gang members, but that's definitely a sign I want to know what's going on. So definitely want to make that distinction between graffiti and tagging, kind of being artistic, and someone marking territory, throwing up warnings. You ever see the things where you're crossing names out, someone crossing someone's tag out? That's kind of, violence indicator and boastful indicator. So definitely a difference in between those two, right? Let's take some comments. Yep. Under the eye. Okay. So someone's talking about teardrop. We're going to get into tattoos, but I'll talk about it right now. So tattoos are kind of, they've really exploded, back in the day, I won't say they're tied to criminality, but I'm saying like hundreds of years ago, we didn't have that many tattoos in our culture. Now, tattoos are ubiquitous. Everyone has tattoos. I got tattoos. Kids got tattoos. High schoolers are getting them. My niece just got one like last week. She's 18 years old. All right. So tattoo is not going to be an indicator of criminality or anything like that. But the message of the tattoo and the placement of the tattoo could give you some indicators, specifically with a teardrop. Oftentimes, a teardrop was associated with gang members or prison people who would put a teardrop for, every person they killed. So you walk by a guy who's got like a line of tears down to his chin, probably want to avoid that person, all right? But again, that's got so weird and vague and kind of strange that doesn't even hold truth now too, because you've seen the new style of I don't know what you call that style. Someone with tattoos can help me out. That Sailor Jerry style. And you see, I see them out here in California. I see these little 110-pound men with teardrops and this that. And I'm like, brother, you picked that out of magazine. That doesn't mean anything. So I would defer to maybe, hey, that's a warning. But a lot of times now you can't even tell. Certain indicators would be someone who has spent some time in the penitentiary. All right. Again, if you've served your time in jail, I'm not knocking you. You did your dirt. Everyone deserves to get a second chance. But if I have someone who's they call it getting blasted. So I'm at the pool and someone takes their shirt off and they're blasted head to toe in that gray ink, that gray kind of ink. They don't have access to tattooing, so they got to make it by burning stuff. So if it's all that same shade of gray, and it's got things like spider webs and a clock and this and that, and then this guy has a tear, I'm going to add all that up and go, okay, I'm have a good day, sir. So if that, always put it in context when it comes to those tattoos and whatnot. Good. Got on third. Good. Yes, it is actually live. Good. Yes. Yep. Yeah, Deborah. Yeah, that's why I made that comment, Deborah. Is at first I was going to be a little bit biased and say, hey, back in the day we might associate tattoos with criminality, and it's kind of a broad brush. But in Japan specifically, it's tied to criminality. And they will not allow you. I've seen the signs myself in Tokyo and Japan where there are literally signs on there, and it's got a little guy. And if you have sleeve tattoos, it's like ain't no go. You're not allowed in that area. So there are different cultures where that does apply. All right, moving on. Different heroes and different people in neighborhoods. So we talked about graffiti and tagging and saying different things, but let's look at certain memorials in certain areas. All right. So this individual, his name was Smokey. And again, I'm not getting political. I'm not getting into the background of this too much, but basically there was an altercation, and this gentleman, it was in Los Angeles, I believe. This guy was like an OG. He'd done his time, but he wasn't really gang affiliated anymore. He didn't really have nothing to do with it anymore, but people kind of knew him around the neighborhood. And long story short, there was some type of police altercation where he wasn't involved, but he got involved, and he was trying to protect someone or stop something from happening. Long story short, weapons got pulled. He gets killed. He gets shot, and officer involved shooting, and he dies. The neighborhood was very angry about it, obviously, and they erected a memorial to this person. And this memorial isn't touched. It's kind of green and whatnot. No one's tagged on it, okay? So if you look at the background of that person in that neighborhood and kind of what they're saying and the fact that no one's touching that, do they revere this person? Do they have respect for this person? I'm not saying you got to have respect. I'm not saying you have to have respect for whatever they did in their life. I'm asking you, does this neighborhood have respect? Do they look up to this person they did a memorial to? Absolutely. So that should color how you interact with that situation you're in. All right. Just like this next one right here. Look at that guy. With all the craziness happening, this is the stuff you see in some parts of the country today as we're evacuating, as we hang our head in shame and evacuate and turn tail running into the wind as Taliban and ISIS chase us out into the sunset. This is the stuff people are putting on their walls. Okay. You tell me, is there respect there? Is there value there for that person? No one's tagging on it, takes up their whole wall. So this into itself can tell me a lot of information about that neighborhood, This is specifically in Mexico. I'm not too spun up on this, but this is a picture taken by one of the guys I used to work with. PRI is apparently one of the political wings of Mexico, and they're always, kind of battling back and forth. Hey, it kind of looks like us now, right, America? We used to dog on the Mexican politics, and you see the British people in there in the parliament screaming at you, and we're like, haha, at least we don't do that. Well, that ship sailed, but what are you going to do? So this is someone where you have an individual and you have people tagging over. That's telling me there's some type of, consternation there, something going on with maybe they're not liking it. All right. So those are some things I wanted to talk about today. All right. And we covered a lot of good stuff. To go further in some of the tattoo comments, because I like those. Again, context changes everything. If you want to do some research on tattoos, I love this stuff. So step one with tattoos, again, just like graffiti, context and relevance. All right. I have tattoos. I do have tattoos. You'll never see my tattoos. Those are private to me. They tell a story to me. They're not for the public. Okay. Other people, they tell stories on their body, and that's pretty cool. I've seen some cool ones where they have sleeve tattoos and whatnot. Okay. If someone takes the time to tattoo something on their body, do they feel strongly about it? Absolutely. There's a lot of emotion packed into whatever that is. So be careful with what you're talking about and how you talk to that person because they get blasted on their body. They have a lot of emotion tied up in that. And that can give you information too. All right. Let's talk about placement of tattoos. We already mentioned a teardrop in the eye. Again, like I said, I have my private ones that you won't see. But what if you walk around and I have USMC down my arms right here, infantry, Am I trying to communicate something to the world? Yeah, I'm a United States Marine. You better treat me with respect. I'm giving you a billboard. I'm telling you right now how to treat me. So you better abide, okay? A criminal, someone who takes MS-13 and tattoos it on their head, okay? Face tattoos, I will say this about face tattoos. I try not to be biased. I don't care about tattoos. They, again, without context, they don't mean anything. And you never want to look at one indicator and go, ha! But I will say this about tattoos. An individual with a face tattoo or someone where it's one of these areas right here, not necessarily neck. That's gone pretty normal. Not this stuff, but I'm saying the visual portion, front side of your face, right there. If you have tattooage going on there, I'm not going to say that's a bad person. I'm not going to say that, but I'm not going to befriend them. I'm not going to create them. Think about it from a psychological perspective. What are you communicating to the world? Normally, people, we just want to get by. Oftentimes, we walk into a given setting and context and we look around and we go, what's everybody doing? How is everybody behaving? You do this unconsciously. People don't even know about it. What's everyone doing? Okay, you know what? I'm going to do some variation of this so I don't stick out. I don't want to be, Nick the new guy who sticks out in front of everybody. So that's how most of the population plays and should play. But what if you have an individual that goes out of their way to put a message on their forehead, tattoo it in ink? I don't care what the message is. It could be good morning, I'm dumb, but whatever it is, I don't care what it is. That's a little bit of a disconnect for me. That's a little bit of a disconnect. You're communicating to the world basically two middle fingers. Okay. So if that's what you're communicating to me, guess what, brother? I'm going to pay attention. I'm going to take that for what it's worth. All right. So just some things to think about when we're walking around in our neighborhoods. We see this stuff, like I said, all day, any day. Given you walk around all this information that's flying around your head. Mostly I'm talking about the specific behavioral domains, but the whole other side of the coin is environmental domains like iconography and geographics. That's a whole other subject. Geographics is how people treat the areas they live in. How do people treat the neighborhood? Do they mow the lawn? Do they not mow the lawn? Is the trash picked up and whatnot? That can all give you different indicators of who's who in the zoo and what's going on in your specific neighborhood. And the great thing is, with these skills, this is the stuff we give you in the Safe Observer course, domain by domain. What's great is that you can apply this right here in your neighborhood, right where you live in America, wherever you live right now. But you can also take all these concepts. Can we not apply everything we just talked about to a completely foreign country or foreign setting that you've never been in before? Yes. That's why I don't get all nitty gritty with what each indicators are. I talk about the context, the setting, what are the rules to the setting I'm in right now. And now we're going to start pulling on that thread, picking out anomalies. So hope you all had a good one with that one. Good one. That was a good one. All right. So let's go to some comments. I'm pretty sure I actually got most of you. Yes, someone's actually asking. This is live. I am live. Yep, territory today. Deborah, thanks so much for the interaction today. Deborah's my super fan, as always giving those great comments. You took a shot at a cop. So someone right here mentions that teardrop usually means you took a shot at a cop or attempted to kill a cop, okay? That could mean that. Yeah, that could mean, so he's getting real specific. How I've heard it before is you've just kind of put in work for the gang. You put in work for the gang. There's a bunch of YouTube videos right now, okay? And I'll tell you, they're graphic. They're pretty graphic, and they talk about some horrible stuff, but the education value is huge, okay? There's one YouTube channel called 23 and 1. 23 and 1. There's a couple of them out there, but these are former prisoners who have been locked up in federal penitentiaries for years, not just a couple jail terms, who have been in the SHU penitentiary. And it's real interesting. I can't stop watching this stuff because they're telling about their day-to-day. And it's interesting because they're telling you all the horrible, horrible things that happen in prison, the racism, the murders, all the bad stuff. But they're also giving you a lot of information of how they operate. A lot of information how they operate day to day, their nooks, their crannies, their politics, how they do decision making. So if you really want to deep dive that, go check out 23 and 1. And specifically to that user, prison systems, gang members, and criminality can change from region to region too. From watching these videos, I'll tell you right now, California prisons, holy crap, man, never go to a California prison because it is gladiator school, man. It is like old school 80s crack prisons, people duking it out, stabbing each other. You got to, go ride with your race. You got to, if you're white, you got to be with the whites. If you're black, you got to be with the blacks. And if you don't, you get stabbed in the back. That's the long and short of it. So California prison systems are no joke. Whereas East Coast prisons, I'm not saying they're a joke, but it's a different variation where they don't have more the racial politics and as much of the stabbing, I believe. So definite context and setting from jail to jail. Okay. Good. Yeah. Deborah, face tattoo provocation. Yeah. Face tattoo means I'm going a different direction. Yousef, off topic for today. Terror threat needs to be read to your pitch courses. Okay. So this is for one of my safe instructors. I can't see your name on there right now, but follow me over in our private safe instructor group, and I'll be talking about that right now. So whoever you are, ask me that question in about 20 minutes over in the certified safe group, all right? Which brings me to the end of this. I think I've blathered along about iconography enough. I think we've talked about some good stuff. Like I said, if you're new to the Safe Observer program and you never heard of this stuff and you want more information, go ahead and put safe, type the word safe into the comment section. We'll reach out to you and shoot you the link to that. It's got a lot of great content. We talk about iconography and behavioral and kinesics and just being left a banging situation where. So go ahead and type that safe in the comment section and we'll reach out to you. For everybody else, it's been a pleasure. Same time, not this Thursday, but the next one after that, I'll be in here at the same time talking about the next whiz-bang piece of information. It's been safe, everybody. Have a great time.